All right, what's up, guys? So, welcome back to another episode of Dougsterbob Discussions. Today, there's not a whole lot of stuff to talk about. It's been a pretty crazy week, all in all, and there's some news, a good amount of recent events. One from the recent events that's kind of considered drama and beef. Two upcoming events. One of them I really want you guys to get in and be a part of this. Then we're going to talk about Kris Kyle for a little bit. We're going to talk about one product release. I know it's sad. And then some of your guys' comments from the last one, from episode 5. So I think this is going to be a relatively quick podcast, but let's see how it goes. We'll get right into it. The Dougsterbob mission: growing BMX by making it fun and easy to understand. For some of us, it's an escape. For others, it's a passion. But for all of us, it's a lifestyle. You're gonna love this sport. I'm glad you're letting me teach you everything that I know about it. All right, starting off right away with Corey Walsh's big news. If you guys follow any of the big BMX sites like Vital, RBMX, Dig, anybody like that, you heard that Corey Walsh came out as gay. This was like, I don't know, he just posted a big, huge, long post. There's a selfie of him with a rainbow behind him, and it's pretty artsy stuff, I guess. So that's some big news. We're going to talk about that in the drama section, not because it's drama, but because some people are making it controversial. And I'm curious what your guys' take on it is, but I'll express my take on it in the drama section. So that is some recent events. The outpouring support for him has just been unreal. Every company is like posting about it, talking about it, supporting him regardless, which is how you would expect. So that's why we're going to talk about it a little later in the drama section. The second recent event is happy birthday. Everyone type in happy birthday if you're watching this on the YouTube video to Sunday. April 1st was their 16th birthday. They did a shout out of their one of their first frames that they put together. And it was really cool to look at because that's when it was born, that's when that great brand was put together, when it was born, and over time they were able to kind of engineer it into being something really special. I'm going to run you guys through their first 6 years in existence because they have it broken down as a timeline on their website, and it's really interesting. So in 2005, they kicked off their year by releasing Triumph bars and Morning forks. They were the first product outside of Odyssey to use 41 thermal heat treating process. It's funny to look at these because the forks are just huge and bulky. The bars are really small and compact. Classic 2005 BMX parts. In 2006, they released the Sunday frame, which challenged the notion of how BMX frames were made. Not only was it the first frame to be fully heat treated using 41 thermal heat treating process, but it boasts a lot of other innovations. 2007, a year after that first frame, they released the first wave frame, and the new tube shaped stiffness and increased the durability of the double-butted down tube. And you guys, if you guys have felt Sunday's frames, the down tube has a wave design instead of just a straight tubing. And the whole idea with this is that this prevents it from actually bending and crinkling. It makes the whole frame a lot stronger. So that's when they started that in 2007. In 2008, they released the second wave, which was Ian Schwartz's signature frame. It provided a lighter and slimmer continuation of the first wave frame with tapered seat and chain stays, and then hidden chain tensioners inside the back of the hollowed dropouts. This is cool. Integrated chain tensioners were not really a thing back then. So in 2009, this is when things got really serious for them. We are just 4 years after their initial start. Aaron Ross joined Sunday in 2008, but in 2009, they released his Sunday Fun Day frame. And that's when everything went wild. What really brought me onto Aaron Ross and Sunday was his really colorful bikes. We'll talk about Aaron Ross a little bit later, but that was a huge turning point for Sunday and Aaron Ross as a rider. In 2010, That's when they released the third wave frame, which improved on the second wave, which they didn't think was even possible to improve on. It has a hidden cable channel, and what was this say? Oh, the hidden cable channel was added to the top tube to further increase the frame life. In 2011, they were able to dramatically change the direction of the 24-inch cruiser BMX bikes by changing the geometry a little bit with the Wave C. And then 2012, the Soundwave frame was the next stage of the Wave series. So that initial Wave came out in 2007, and then 5 years later, they came out with the Soundwave, which, if you guys know, that is their highest tier complete bike, uses a Soundwave frame. And it's been almost 10 years since that first Soundwave came out. So they've just been changing. That goes back to what we talked about a little bit earlier on episode 5 about the difference between stagnant companies and the difference between companies who are innovating change and taking risks. Sunday has moved through to make those innovations and just keep going. So that's all they have on their website. It'd be fun to walk through all 16 years, but we walked through about 7 years, and it's really cool to see how the company changed and evolved over time. Now, the third recent event has to do with Woodward. Now, I've been to Woodward twice, 3, 4 times altogether. 2 of those times I worked there all summer. And now Jamie Bestwick and Ryan Nyquist are going to be program supervisors for BMX. The way Woodward normally would work is that they would have people at the camp, and there's a skateboard director, there's a scooter director, there's a BMX director, there's an action sports director that kind of oversees all of that. And the whole idea with each one is for each director to make sure that their program is good at camp. Make sure, say the BMX director, make sure that the BMX program is killer at camp. The kids have a good time. The kids learn, everything like that. And I love everyone that worked there that I worked with at West. They are amazing. But these guys that they're bringing in are some of the most renowned athletes in BMX. Like Jamie Bestwick is quote unquote the vert king, even though I used to think Vince Byron was much better. Jamie Bestwick has won tons and tons and tons of medals. Ryan Nyquist is an older guy that is still winning contests. He's in his 40s, absolutely killing it. He was in the movie called Ride. If you guys saw that, it's a BMX movie about the Haro founder and his life with BMX. It's an interesting movie. Ryan Nyquist kind of starred in it as the stuntman for the main character. So both these guys are accomplished BMX riders. They've done so much. They're still riding. They're in 40 plus and competing at a pro level still, which is not many people, virtually no people are still doing this. So Woodward's bringing them in as program supervisors to help change the way that the BMX program is operated, to help make sure that kids have the best time. And actually, what I noticed from their website when I was reading about this is they've shifted it from more of a camp experience focus to a progression focus. Now, the camp experience is still a huge part of it, but they've started to change their wording to be more about how at camp you are around people like these guys who are going to push you and help you take it to the next level. These guys are going to help you progress your skills, learn all this stuff, and really take the competitive aspect of it and put it back into Woodward. That's what I've noticed. They were recently bought out a few years ago by Powder, which is a huge ski company. They own a lot of ski resorts, huge company. They bought out Woodward. And when that happened, everything changed. The vibe changed. The corporation, it's just a corporate thing now. So the way it was run was less family orientated and more corporate, which you got to be careful, especially running action sports. I get it. And I did notice from when I was a camper there to when I actually worked there, there's a lot of noticeable changes with how it's run. But corporate has the money and ideally the people high enough up to make these smart changes that will alter the way that Woodward is ran and alter the way that people interact with camp and so on and so forth. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what's going to happen. I met Jamie Bestwick when I went to Woodward East when I was like 15 or 16. He really was not a camp vibe type guy. Like he wanted to just ride, film, do his own thing. Like he would not give any of the campers the time of day. Harry Main was pretty cool. Jamie Bestwick, not so much. I've never met Ryan Nyquist. So, but I hear Ryan is like one of the nicest guys in BMX. And, you know, assuming that's true, he's going to be a perfect fit out at Woodward West, where it's a lot more chill and good vibes than Woodward East, where Jamie Bestwick is obviously going to fit in a lot more. Jamie Bestwick lives around Woodward East and trains there all the time, so he's always there regardless. Woodward for progression, I just wanted to touch on this with you guys for a little bit because I know some of you guys are really serious about getting better at the sport. That's why you've looked into bike school. That's why you're looking into Woodward, all that stuff. And when I went to Woodward the first time, I was just learning, God, I want to say maybe whips and stuff. Anyway, I went to camp. Everyone in my cabin learned flips. They just all picked a day. They sent it on the foam pit. They moved it to Resi. They all learned it. I was too scared. I did not learn it. However, I learned like tuck to bar. I learned 360 tail whips. I learned a lot of my dream tricks there just in that week. Now, this is crazy to me that it costs so much money. Normally, the first 2 and the last 2 weeks are $1,100 to $1,200, and the main core summer weeks are about $1,500. This year, just from West, I looked at, they're all $1,500 regardless. And I'm not sure, they haven't really talked about how they're going to operate it with the thing that's going around, the making people sick. And to me, I don't know if it's really a big deal. Stuffing a bunch of kids in a cabin might be a little bit sketchy. Kids from all over the world coming in here, staying together for a week and like going back to their families. I don't know how they're going to navigate that. But if you're interested in it for progression, it's totally worth the money. $1,500, you get to have a quote unquote coach. You get to ride all these skate parks, even though there's world-class skate parks everywhere. This outline, the Woodward thing, is going to change and be taken over by something much bigger, in my opinion. I think everything's shifting a little bit. And when 10, 15 years ago, you had to go there to get all the best skate parks, that's not really the case anymore. A lot of you guys have world-class skate parks really close to you that it would cost a lot less than $1,500 to go there. Now you might need to hire a coach or something like that to get better. And that's where I think BMX is headed in the next 10 years. We'll see what happens. Maybe it's all just going to completely die out. I'm not sure. But last part about Woodward, I've been wondering why the directors are not necessarily huge core athletes in the sport. I can think about the directors that I know personally. Dustin is BMX director, was BMX director at West. I don't know what's going on now that Jamie Bestwick and Ryan Nyquist are there, but Dustin is literally the nicest guy, the best guy you could have in that position. But he's not super well known like, say, Jamie Bestwick or like Ryan Nyquist. So it's interesting to see why they haven't necessarily done that before. Maybe it's because they pay the directors not very much money and rely on their passion for the sport to carry them through that long enduring summer season. I'm not sure. It's going to be interesting. I'll keep talking about this more as I learn more because I'm really curious to see what's going on. All right, next. In recent events, I watched Aaron Ross's favorite versus least favorite video parts on Our BMX. This was a really fun video to watch because Aaron really just talked about what was going on in the video, why he liked it, why he didn't like it, and so on and so forth. So he loved one of his first parts because it took him back to a time where he wasn't sure if this video was the end of his riding career or if it was just the beginning. So essentially the way I looked at it is a lot of us kind of go through that thing where, I mean, I definitely did, where I was getting good enough that if I could have risked it all for another year or so, I feel like I could have been doing more of the, not quite pro, but the almost pro BMX stuff, the traveling, the competing, all that stuff. If I had the support for it, and if I really stuck with it, the 2 years that I wasn't able to ride as much, and he was at that turning point. He was either going, this was going to make it for him, or he was going to have to get a real job and keep BMX on the side. And what happened out of that video was like unimaginable for him. He blew up. He got on Road Fools. He did a bunch of stuff with props. And that video was a turning point. So there's a lot of good reasons for that to be his favorite. And then he definitely deserved it. Killer rider. He's done so much just for Sunday as a brand, just being a part of it, than you could ever imagine. The hated one was a video that was, the tricks were insane. He said, actually, trick wise, this is my favorite video, but I hate it because the guy that filmed it and put it together would not listen to me and do the song I wanted. He picked his own song, and I hate this song. I don't think it really goes with my riding because it's too upbeat, whatever. And this is interesting to think about because if you have, I don't know why he wouldn't just go with what Aaron Ross wants, okay? If he's making this video, if he's filming it, he wants his name to look good, us being associated with the video. But here's the thing. Nobody knows who he is in the grand scheme of things. Everyone knows who Aaron Ross is. Nobody knows who he is, even though he filmed the video, even though he edited the video. No one knows. So when that video doesn't look good, or when it does look good, like it's Aaron Ross's video. That's all. People notice it that way, and that is literally it. So for him to have so much competence, no, I don't know what the right word is, him to have so much ego about that video being exactly how he wants, like it has nothing to do with him. Cool, he filmed it, he did a good job, but nobody cares. In the most respectful sense, nobody cares. Everyone cares about Aaron Ross's riding, Aaron Ross's video. So it's like, he's not going to hurt himself either way. But what is going to hurt himself is Aaron Ross saying this guy wouldn't work with me and make the video the way I wanted to make the video. That kind of works me up because that's crazy to me that this guy just would not, a song, just put the song, you know? How hard is it? Come on, I don't know. So that was a fun video to watch. I'll leave the link for you guys. Go check that out. So in the drama and beef section, this is the drama about Corey Walsh coming out as gay. And the way it worked, a little bit of a backstory, is that he posted his post and then a bunch of companies posted about it, you know, reiterating what he said. It said, essentially, I'm gay, da 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 da. I don't talk about my personal life, all that stuff. And so when people reposted it, there's two sides of people, essentially. There's people who have outpouring support and lots of love for him that said, this is awesome, good for you, man, da 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 da. And then there's people who said, this doesn't matter. Literally, why is there such a big deal about this? Like, good for him, carry on, right? He's a killer BMX rider, carry on. And so then there was a wave of posts from these companies again that said Corey Walsh is gay and it matters. And then they'll talk about that a little bit more. So this is the post. This is what Vital says about it on their second post about why it matters. Amongst the thousands of supportive comments that flooded social media, I noticed a handful that alluded to Corey's announcement as not mattering. I don't think the majority of these were written with malice, but rather under the implication that the topic shouldn't influence the way we view Corey. He's still the same rider and person that he's always been. So that was their take on it. And I'm curious, what do you guys think? Does it actually matter? Like, is that something that should be talked about, you know, to quote unquote break the stigma? Or is that something like good for him? He's a killer rider. It doesn't matter. And I thought about it. So at first I was like, okay, that's cool. Good for him. Get it out there. And then just all of the hype around it, to me, I was like, it literally is not that important. I don't get it. I just can't really understand it as to why it acquired so much of that hype. There's been a handful of BMX riders that are gay, but there hasn't been hype around it. So is it because Corey is just this absolute machine at riding bikes, or is there something else, like the way it happened, the way he came out about it? Was there too much hype around it? I don't know what it is, but I'm on the side of people now. At first I really was. I was like, okay, that's cool. And then it just got blown out of proportion. To me, it was just blown out of proportion. And I was like, okay, it doesn't matter this much. It is not that life-changing. It's not that game-changing for him, sure. But in my opinion, it has nothing to do with BMX, like coming out around BMX. I think it more so has to do with the stigma in general of the gay movement and everything like that, where people are coming out more and more openly, just in general terms. So that makes it easier for BMX. And that's why it shouldn't necessarily matter in BMX. is because the world as a whole is moving forward. Like 10 years ago, this would be a more, a bigger thing to talk about than it is now. Like it's so normalized right now, at least where I'm at, that this is not a big deal. And like I said, 10 years ago, it would have been a big deal. But what are your guys' thoughts on it? I met Corey Walsh once at Phoenix, and he was a little flamboyant. Is that the right word? Like not crazy. You know, there's a scale there of like very gay people and like questionably, and then like obviously not. And so he was like, you know, just a little bit above the obviously not, where it's like, okay, but it doesn't matter. Like, cool, he was a cool guy, and that's it. Like that's all there should be. You know what I mean? I don't know. Rant over. There's a hair in my mouth. But anyway, that's my take on it. What do you guys think? Now, for upcoming events, we've got a street jam in Mexico with Brad Sims, Ryan Mills, and Jaron Barboza. I love all three of these guys. Ryan has a great story. That'd be fun to have him on and talk to him one time, just about everything he's overcome, everything he's been through. I met Jaron at Woodward 2 years ago. His riding is clean. His swag, he has so much swag, just like Chad Curley. A very, very good rider, and he's doing a lot with volume. He's really moving up there. And obviously, you guys know my love for Brad Sims, so this will be a really fun jam to watch. Like I said, it's upcoming here in the next week. All right, and the second thing is something that I really want you guys to hop on. Our BMX Clips is doing a best fakie clip to win an Odyssey Clutch V2. So all you have to do is, from what I understand, is post your fakie clip and tag RBMX Clips, hashtag RBMX, all that nonsense that they want you to do. Post your clip. They're going to pick a winner April 15th for the best fakie clip. They did this with a tire slide, but if you guys want to win a free coaster, post your best fakie clip, tag RBMX Clips, and I hope you win. So like I said, in the rider radar section, we're talking about Kris Kyle. If you guys watch Kris Kyle's clips, you know why he's so amazing. The clip that I saw that made me want to talk to him was just, he hopped out at Unit 23. It's a park in Scotland. He hopped out quarter to wall, landed in a curved wall ride and a can lander, did the curved wall ride down the vert wall, stayed in the can lander, hit the quarter, and did this massive dip 3 while canning, you know, and then put his foot back on when he landed. And I was like, that's crazy. And then he did a can fakie manual to fast plant. Kris Kyle is one of the most unique riders, but he still has it super clean. He does a curved wall ride to flare, but I don't think it's a flare. It's kind of like a dip 3. Yeah, I said it, but he's still crazy good. He's really good. And I wanted to talk about his story. He rides for BSD. He started his own clothing brand, but as a kid growing up in Stranraer, I don't know, somewhere in Scotland, he would watch his brother ride BMX at the local skate park and beg his parents for a bike so he could join in. For his 10th birthday, he got a 16-inch Haro, and that was his first BMX bike. He said it literally took over his life. And freestyle, it's called freestyle for a reason, because there are no rules. You ride the bike the way you want and express yourself by doing it. He moved out of his house and moved into Unit 23 for 6 years. And that's that skate park there. It's a crazy skate park, and it has a really nice family vibe. Just like a lot of indoor parks, everyone that rides there becomes a part of a family, and they let Kriss move in there. So he does definitely owe a lot to them for blowing up, and like everyone knows of Unit 23 because of Kris Kyle. So that was a huge thing. I mean, he owes a lot to them too in retrospect, because without that, he probably wouldn't be anywhere that he is today. And the reason I wanted to talk about that a little more is because, as you guys know, I always talk about how BMX is more than just the sport for a lot of us. Any of us who've stuck to it for more than like 3 years, it really has gotten us through different times. It's drug us to certain experiences. It's made us meet up with different people that we could have never imagined. And this story is a perfect reflection of that. He wanted to get into it because his brother was doing it, but it literally consumed his life. And look at him now, started his brand, travels wherever he wants. Like, he's got the life because of BMX, because of Unit 23. And it's a really good story. I'll also link that for you guys so you can check that out. So the only product that I found in a product release section was for the new Eclat BIOS pivotal seat. This is on a lot of We the People completes, but this is the Electra colorway. I always talk about seats like, who cares? Brands always hype up their seats on their complete bikes, and I'm like, nobody cares. You barely sit on it anyway. So I should have left it out, but I put it in there because some of you guys are seat fanatics, and maybe you want to check it out. It does look pretty cool, not gonna lie. Let's roll right into the user comments. So the first one is from Martin Beaver, and this is in regards to episode number 5, where we talked about indoor parks all over the UK, but not so much in the US. He says, in the UK, we have very few outdoor parks like you guys do. And the ones we do have are usually trash with poorly built quality, poor selection of ramps. I wouldn't say there's a lot of indoors. Big cities usually have 1, maybe 2 options, but that's it. Towns basically have no option to ride. In most cases, our road and street designs, given most of the town planning was done before cars existed, doesn't have the same level of street riding options that you guys have. Perfect example, I lived in my town for about 15 years, and 3 nights ago, I've only just found a bank to wall ride. Hyped because I now have something to ride, but like still. Marvin, I definitely appreciate the impact, man. And I guess, that really does make sense. When I was riding around there, what I noticed is a lot of places in the UK are very hilly. For example, I had to ride to Stroud, and it's like a 15-mile ride to Rush Skate Park. And it's not friendly. And there were virtually no street spots. Like he said, built before cars existed. Ledges are made out of bricks, which you can't particularly grind very easily. Everything's got hills. You go super fast to get a run up at something. So I see what you mean, man. Now, like you said, the bigger cities do have more indoor parks, at least 1 or 2, and the outdoor parks are trash. I can attest to that. That's a very good point. Earlier in the podcast, we were talking about Woodward and how we have world-class parks all around us, but that's not really the case for people in the UK per se. They do, but to be fair, from me in New Mexico to go to, say, California, it's about a 10 to 13 hour drive. Whereas in the UK, you could drive to London from almost anywhere in less than 8 hours. So, and London has Adrenaline Alley, right? So you could make that work in, about the same amount of effort that it would take for me to get to a world-class park with foam pits, resis, things like that. Because there is very, very few parks with foam pits and resis. But lots of world-class outdoor parks with, say, flyouts and things like that. So dude, I appreciate the feedback. What do you guys think about what are your parks like in your area? Let me know. I'm very curious. Does everyone have a good park, or is everyone like Martin, where you have one wall ride that you found in 15 years? That's crazy. All right, Kriss says we might continue to see more of a convergence of slope style park mountain bike and BMX. We know we're getting full suspension BMX, maybe also pegs on hardtail mountain bikes. You never know. I feel like I've put this in the podcast or talked about it somewhere. Maybe I talked about it in the live. Anyway, Kriss is coming in fire with great comments on literally every video. I was thinking the same thing when we talked about the Sonar free coaster for mountain bikes. Somebody also said that a really good mountain bike rider rides a free coaster. So it's interesting to think about what happens if, say, mountain bike kind of does get more into the park section, BMX gets more into the full suspension section. What's going to happen there? I know a lot of you guys right now own hardtail bikes and own BMX bikes and just alternate between the two. I would definitely do that when I can afford it, because hardtail mountain bikes are just a whole different world. You can still do double bars, you can still do 360s, you could still do all of these tricks, but go faster. Okay, and then Lavish says the BMX community is not growing that much as it could due to the strong pushback of when riders go on YouTube. It kind of sucks. I got into BMX because of Adam LZ, Nate Richter, Adam22, and most of the BMX vloggers, they get so much hate in the community just for vlogging it. I love that you brought this up, Lavish, because I talk about this a lot. I think that from what I've noticed, anyone in BMX who has done it on their own, okay? And what I mean by that, so Kris Kyle didn't necessarily do it on his own. Kris Kyle got on Red Bull. He's got a great sponsor with BSD. He's got a lot of support from the industry who help him out, and in turn, they get the recognition they deserve. Okay, but when you think about, say, Adam LZ, he's just this kid who started his own little brand and blew up on YouTube, made a full-time income from what he was doing without the help of anyone in the core BMX scene. Now, he was on Stranger for a little bit, but what happened? The point I'm making is Kris Kyle is idolized. Everyone loves Kris Kyle. There's no hate against him. Adam LZ went off, did his own thing, and he got pushed out of the sport. Nigel Sylvester had a lot of help from, say, Animal, but in the grand scheme of things, he created his own personal brand, went off, did his own thing, marketed himself, and he got pushed out of BMX. Adam22 created his own brand, blew up BMX, and got pushed out. So it's really interesting to see that anyone who genuinely makes it on their own through YouTube, through vlogging, and wants to do their own thing, they get pushed out of BMX. And maybe it's because they're not giving back to the companies that rely on that kind of support. I'm not sure what it is, and I'm trying to figure it out. Because if you can go off and do your own thing and make $1 million a year, do it, But if that requires you losing your passion because you're pushed out and portrayed as a bad person, maybe that's not really worth it. I'm not too sure. I definitely am curious as to why people get pushed out, or do they realize there's not much money in BMX and go pursue something else? Did Adam realize, well, I'm making okay money, but I can make a lot more money drifting, so he left? I mean, both Adams, I guess. Adam LZ. Did Adam22 say, well, I could make a lot more money gearing the No Jumper podcast to rappers and peace out BMX? I'm not sure. Maybe that is the case, but I'd assume they could make it around a passion if it's really something they care about and make it work. With that being said, guys, that is it for the podcast. If you enjoyed this, share it with a homie because my mouth is broken from talking so long. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week and come hang out with me on the live on Friday and on Sunday. That's always a good time. So many good questions. This community is growing and you guys are a part of it. Be tuned for some podcast changes with the way I structure it and the way we interact on here. And leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Have a great day, guys. Peace.